He has been a top GOP advisor for almost 20 years, serving the likes of President George W. Bush, and he helped out Mitt Romney, and now he's entering the ring himself as Virginia's Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate. So what's his strategy for helping the Republicans take back the White House and perhaps the Senate as well? Coming up shortly. Joining us right now is Virginia Senate nominee Ed Gillespie. Joins us from the beautiful town of Charlottesville. Good morning to you, Ed.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Congratulations, your nomination over the weekend. On Politico right now, they've got a headline, how Gillespie could pull off an upset. Coming out of the convention. Obviously, you're very excited, but Mark Warner has in the past been very popular. How are you going to knock him off?
Well, I think it's a matter of voters knowing his record, which has not been good for Virginia or for the country. All of his votes have resulted in higher prices for energy, for skyrocketing health care costs, for lost jobs and lower take-home pay. Voted for nearly $1 trillion in tax increases, $7 trillion in debt. Mark Warner supports cap-and-trade legislation and a carbon tax. And, of course, he not only voted for the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, but he helped round up votes for it. And I would take a different approach, and I would put forward policies that will create jobs and foster economic growth and upward mobility and help lift people out of poverty, and we need that right now in our economy. The fact is, by historic standards, this is a very, very weak recovery. In fact, negative 1% growth, not growth, but full 1% shrinkage in our economy last quarter.
Sure, and when you look at just the president's popularity across the country, he's not that popular these days. His approval ratings are way down, and that ultimately is not going to help Mr. Warner, and ultimately it could help you.
Well, there's no doubt about that, Steve. And the fact is, Senator Warner, despite having told Virginians that he was going to be an independent voice for us in Washington, D.C., turns out that since he took office, he has voted with President Obama 97% of the time. And I can't find the 3% where he didn't, by the way. And so, we don't need in the United States Senate from Virginia a blank check for President Obama. We need a check and balance on this administration and on President Obama, and that's what I would be. And I would not support the president's policies down the line and Harry Reid down the line, as Mark Warner has. And in fact, winning here, I believe, will all but guarantee that Republicans would get control of the United States Senate for the last 2 years of the Obama presidency. And, that would be important in terms of a check and balance on this administration.
Ed, before you go, I want you to weigh in on the Bo Bergdahl situation where the White House did the terrorist trade 5 for 1. I understand the family wanting to get their guy back. We never leave a guy behind. That's absolutely right. Now, it looks like he could be adjudicated. They're going to figure it all out. But nonetheless, people are going, wait a minute. We just let out 5 of the worst of the worst. What's your headline from this deal?
Well, like you said, obviously happy for the family, but a lot of questions, as you mentioned, about this in terms of Sergeant Bergdahl and how he ended up in captivity. But there's no question that there's a very dangerous policy being set here in terms of the willingness to exchange and have the Taliban say these are the 5 leaders that we want, to turn them over in exchange for an American, I think obviously makes it much more dangerous for our troops in the field now. And frankly, for our diplomatic corps and really any American traveling abroad, the risk has gone up considerably as a result of this new policy by this administration.
It is a head-scratcher. All right. Ed Gillespie joined us today from Virginia. He wants to be the new senator from that great Commonwealth. Ed, thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thanks for